All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So it's a little over 11 o'clock right now over here on the East Coast, and we still don't have an update on Breece Hall. And even like AVT and Corey Davis for that matter as well. I figured there would be something at this point, like I would maybe wake up to news or Salah's, typical presser. I think it normally kicks off around like 10:30, somewhere in that range, but we still don't have an update. And according to Salah after yesterday's game, it's not good. It's not looking good. I know the initial speculation is an ACL long-term injury type of deal, which is absolutely horrible. I mean, Breece Hall legitimately looked like the offensive rookie of the year. That's not an over-exaggeration. He looked absolutely fantastic. And I mean, even yesterday before the injury, he had that humongous touchdown. That I think it was 60+ yarder, which by the way ended up helping the Jets in that victory because it came down to the wire. Broncos had an opportunity in the end, and if it wasn't for Breece's touchdown, the Jets probably would have lost that football game. Okay, so it's going to be a huge blow, right? And again, I don't want to jump to conclusions here. I don't want to assume the worst. I'm hoping that it's a short-term thing, because we did see something similar with Zach Wilson where it looked, optically looked horrible. It's all ACL. He's out for the season, and then it was just a 4 to 6 week injury. So with that said, I think if the Jets want to go out and maybe look for a running back on the trade market, there are definitely a couple guys that really stand out here. The first, LA Rams running back Cam Akers. I mean, this is a guy who's always had talent. I mean, I remember him back at high school, right? He was a big-time 5-star recruit, goes to Florida State, and he was super, super electric, right? The potential. Cam Akers has always had so much hype and so much expectations surrounding his entire football career, and he goes to the LA Rams in the second round, and right off the bat splits carries his rookie season. But with that said, he was pretty good. He made some plays both on the ground and through the air. I felt like Akers was a guy that a lot of Rams fans looked at and said, you know what, this guy could be our franchise running back soon, right? If not now. 2021 rolls around, he tears his Achilles, only plays in one game in the entire 2021 season. Fast forward to this year, 2022, so far through 5 games, he has 151 rushing yards with a touchdown through 51 attempts. And I think an underrated thing about Cam Akers to the Jets, why it makes a little bit more sense than, just any other team out there, is the fact that the Rams and the Jets run similar systems offensively. So Cam Akers could just hit the ground running, right? He would come in, it wouldn't be this massive transition, this huge learning curve or anything like that. I think he would come in and essentially make an impact right off the bat, like right from the jump. He's still on the rookie contract as well, which is really, really important. He's a $1.6 million cap hit this season. The Jets have him under control next season as well, where he's a $1.9 million cap hit, and then he becomes an unrestricted free agent after 2023. Okay, so what do we know? We know he has potential. We know he would be affordable, and on top of that, he fits the scheme. Okay, so 3 really big positives. Also, one thing to quickly throw in there, the Rams, right, Sean McVay, they have actually been vocal about moving Cam Akers, right? They want to, I think it's one of those situations where both parties want to go their separate ways, and it's not like Cam Akers hates the Rams and he's quitting on them. It's not like the Rams are doing Cam Akers dirty or anything. It's just a mutual parting of ways. So I think Cam Akers is a realistic possibility. I think there's a really good chance he gets moved at the deadline. Let's see if it's the Jets. Okay, so next up is Cleveland Browns running back Johnson. I gotta be honest with you, last year when I was watching Johnson play, I was totally impressed. I didn't know much about him. I was like, where did this guy come from? Granted, it's not like he rushed for 1,000 yards or anything like that, but he appeared in all 17 games, started in 2. I felt like he did a good job of picking up the slack when the Browns were dealing with a couple of injuries, and they just couldn't really get the ball going through the pass game. Johnson made plays. He's shifty. He's hard to bring down. He's just a lightning rod type of player. He rushed for 534 yards through 100 attempts. We look at his age, he's 26 years old, so he's just about to hit the prime of his career. He's on a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. Yes, we have to factor in, are they for sure going to be sellers? I know they haven't started off the best. I know they've lost a bunch of games, but they do have Deshaun Watson coming back eventually, and I look at that roster, it's a very, very good one. So are the Browns going to be selling at the deadline? I'm not sure, but on the flip side, Nick Chubb is healthy. Kareem Hunt is healthy. D'Ernest Johnson has 0 rushing yards on the season and 2 catches. That's it. So it's clear that the Browns aren't really using him. Maybe he's there for depth purposes. Obviously a good option if you do want him for depth. But maybe Joe Douglas could come in and say, hey, you know what? We'll give you a late round pick. And if the Browns feel comfortable with that, they could send him to New York. And I would be, quite frankly, really, really pleased. And last but not least, Johnson's teammate Kareem Hunt. And I think right off the bat, it would be a little bit more tricky to land Kareem as opposed to Johnson because A, Hunt is the better player. B, the trade compensation would be a little higher as well. C, Kareem Hunt is over $6 million as far as a cap hit is concerned. And then D, he's actually a big part of the Browns offense. I know it's Nick Chubb, right? He is like RB1 for that squad, but it's not like D'Ernest Johnson where he has 0 rushing attempts, 0 rushing yards, and 2 catches. Kareem Hunt plays a role with that within that offense. I think from the Browns' perspective, they would be losing a better player, a player that contributes more, and now a guy that they might have to replace. But they could be looking at it saying, hey, if we trade Kareem Hunt, we could clear his cap off the books, elevate D'Ernest Johnson into Kareem Hunt's role, and maybe extend him to a much cheaper deal, and, obviously not bring Kareem Hunt back. So maybe that's how the Browns are looking at it, but I think those are 3 realistic options that the Jets could go land at the deadline. If we want to maybe check out the free agency market, unfortunately, it's not, jam-packed with a ton of talent. There's a bunch of former Jets on there, right? The Jets could go make a move for, Kalen Ballage or LaMichael Pirine, something like, somebody like that. But the one name I was really excited for, a guy who I felt like would come in and do a great job in this Jets scheme, was Marlon Mack, and he was on the 49ers practice squad. I was thinking, hey, we should just make a full court press, bring him in off the squad, and, move forward for the time being. But earlier this morning, of course, the Denver Broncos scooped him up. I think they actually scooped him up a little over an hour and a half ago. Okay, so bad luck there. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you want the Jets to go out and make a move for a running back? Is there anybody else that you have your eye on? Maybe a guy that's not being utilized somewhere? And, I was looking at teams like the Miami Dolphins and whatnot, and New England. Like, there's talent there, but I just don't see a trade happening within the AFC East at this point, at the trade deadline where teams are trying to, replace injured players, where teams are trying to make a playoff push. So I don't see a trade going down within the division. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.